to talking, top rope walking, ultimate Xing, serious flexing, never be vague with your boy Craig, and opinion mixing from Pete to Nixon. Keep doing things in an impactful way. Bloody nonsense, as the Brits say. Talking bloody nonsense.
Yes, it's me. It's the MIC, Craig, aka Mr. Impact. Joined as always by the one and only Peter Nixon, and of course, the Booker Man returns. It's Alec Burnitt of DOA Wrestling. It's a new week, it's a new Impact here on the TNIW channel. This is TBN. First things first, Nixon, how are we?
I've been better. As a lot of watchers / listeners will know, I had a bit of an injury on Saturday at DOA in Ipswich. I have broken my clavicle. I don't think you can see it in this lighting. I've broken it in 2 places. Luckily, surgery. It doesn't look like surgery is going to be required. I'm still waiting for my appointment. At the fracture clinic. And then we'll know a time frame. But a bit uncomfortable. That's the word I've been using. Otherwise, I'm in fairly good spirits.
So how, for people who don't, how did it happen? Like, was it just a nasty bump or?
Yeah. So it was from a Samoan drop. Damien, he's a big boy. He's about 20 stone. I don't know what exactly happened, but my arm was stuck underneath Damien as he came down full weight. No one's fault. I think it was a freak accident. I felt the crunch, heard the crunch straight away, and we stopped the match. Luckily, Ben, the referee, I was able to relay a message to him that I was hurt, and we were able to stop the match very shortly afterwards.
Well, at least the positive is that you're in good spirits and surgery may not be necessary. So see the positive in it.
Exactly.
But it's wrestling. It's it hurts.
Yeah. If I could just say this right quick, and this is a shout out to Alec and the DOA family, and just the family vibe and atmosphere that Alec has created with DOA. Pretty much every single member of the roster has messaged me, has reached out to me, and just to see how I am, if I need anything. And that is, that means a lot. I think that's really cool.
It's good to hear. And Alec, how are you doing?
I'm intact. I don't think you can see my bulge in this light either. Anyway, we'll move on. I'm good generally. I've been a little bit under the weather for a couple of days, but I'm powering through with the power of lager. I mean, it was unfortunate that Mr. Nixon got injured on Saturday, just gone. It was worrying. It was one of those things that I had a good view of the bump itself, and you knew it wasn't a good landing. Like you couldn't, like I didn't hear a sort of crunch or like you did, but from the angle, and I've now seen the footage as well. It's from the looks of things, it was it wasn't anybody's fault or anything, and you gave a shout out to everyone on the show and that sort of stuff, which is lovely. And it's sort of obviously nice for me to hear that everyone sort of reached out to you, which is great, because that's exactly the kind of environment that we want to have. I will just say my own shout out to Ben, the referee, who handled the whole situation fantastically. So my shout out to him. But let's not talk about the bad news of an injury. Let's talk about what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, of course. Victory Road was this past Saturday morning here in the UK. Let's get straight into it, and we'll get both of you guys' thoughts on the matches. We'll go for match by match, but this is the rundown. On the countdown, we had Bullet Club and 6-man tag team action with Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and returning Juice Robinson taking on the gut check winners of Jack Price, Jason Hotch, and Shogun. Tasha Steelz defeated Kelly Kelly by disqualification. Mike Bailey retained his extras championship by defeating Delirious. The Motor City Machine Guns out Shelley Kasabian defeat Honor No More, PCO, and Vincent. Mickey James defeats Giselle Shaw to keep the last rodeo going. Frankie Kazarian defeated Alex Zane, Black Taurus, Kenny King, Laredo Kid, Mia Yim, Trey Miguel, Yuya Uemura to become number one contender for the X-Division Championship in the Triple Threat Revolver match. Honor No More's Eddie Edwards, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett with Marie Kanellis defeat Heath, Josh Alexander, and Rich Swann. Jordan Grace defeats Maxine Paler. And Steve Macklin wins Barbed Wire Massacre by pinning Sami Callihan, also defeating Moose in the process. I mean, this will guess over to Alec and Nix on this one. You probably heard my review on the Saturday show with Jeff. But yeah, Alec, we'll start with you. What matched out to you? What was your highlight of the show? And what maybe didn't you like? If there's anything.
We're talking the whole show in general, yeah? Okay. Well, just a few things that, I mean, the pre-show stuff, I mean, the 6-man was a nothing match, really, wasn't it? I did laugh at the little argument that they were having with the referee at the end of it. That kind of made me laugh, where the referee didn't think that Ace Austin was the legal man, and they clearly disagreed with him. I then rewound, and he was. Not that anyone was really paying attention because they were all in the ring anyway, but still. I was, there's a part of my brain that was still hoping that Chris Bay would lose somehow because it's just become a running joke. Would have been funny. But yeah, that was a nothing match, really. I was kind of surprised that they made Tasha Steelz and Killer Kelly a countdown match, mainly because it feels like it's had a lot of build over the last few weeks. It felt like one of the more prominent, every week it's had something going on for that match. And I felt like it perhaps should have been on the main show. But yeah, that was decent. Just to pick out a few things, I think, from the main show, Delirious is still really good. I like Delirious. I saw something about he's now working as a producer for Impact, which can only be a good thing. I think I'd like to see him maybe. I think he'd be a good fit with like Decay or something. Would be quite cool. I think that would work. I was a bit disappointed that Kazarian won. Before we started recording, I gave it a thumbs down when we were kind of running through the card quickly. I was disappointed mainly because it's another match that it will have 2 weeks worth of build, and neither man's gonna turn heel, or I wouldn't imagine, and it just feels like another Mike Bailey exhibition title defense. Nothing wrong with that necessarily, but I think for Bound for Glory, it would have been nice to have seen him have a challenger that, we could sink our teeth into, that you really want to see him beat. There's been a lot of, babyface against babyface title defenses and stuff. And that's great for TV. I just think Bound for Glory needed to be something more. And I'll surprise you that I would have gone with Kenny King. Now, I'm not a fan of Kenny King, as you know, but he's the only one, when I was looking at that Triple Threat Revolver, that had some kind of gripe, something that, he kind of won the title and didn't, you know what I mean? From a few weeks ago, it was the only one there that had some kind of gripe and some kind of story that they could have told. Plus, with Eddie going for the world title. OGK have got the tag titles. It could have been like I said before about a show with Honor No More. It feels like this show is kind of not a conclusion to Honor No More, but this is kind of where it's all been building to. In a lot of ways, it feels that way. So I think that I mean, in an ideal world, I'd have done Bailey against PCO. That would have been better. But
you're stealing all my ideas.
Yeah. It would have been wicked. But yeah, out of the people that were in the Triple Threat Revolver, Kenny King was the only one that I felt had a pre-existing gripe and a pre-existing story. So for that reason, I thought he was gonna win it. So I was surprised when he didn't. I felt like Kazarian doesn't really feel like an outside talent because he was in Impact recently or fairly recently. So yeah, I'm just not very particularly excited about that. You know, I didn't particularly enjoy the main event. It's not really my cup of tea. Glad Macklin won though. I just think he's better than doing those types of matches. I don't think Callahan is good enough to not rely on those types of matches, personally. Whereas Macklin and Moose, I feel, don't need to do that sort of shit. I think that's, excuse my language. But yeah, glad Macklin won. Yeah, the men's 6-man was, I thought it was the right choice to have Eddie beat to pin Josh. Josh is another one similar to Bailey where I just feel like something has got to give. Something's got to make them a little bit more interesting. I'm a little bit bored of both of them. They're just kind of two babyface champions that put on great matches, but I'm yet to see that really great promo, that really great moment where you think, you know, I really want to get behind these people. Yeah, I think Josh's reign so far has produced great matches, but in terms of being the top guy, he still doesn't feel like the top guy to me. But yeah, Mickey James match with Giselle Shaw was good. I like Maxie Impaler as well. Thought that was cool. Yeah, I'm forgetting something, I'm sure, but it's hard to recall everything all in one hit, all in one big bundle.
The only thing you've missed is Motor City Machine Guns versus PCO and Vincent.
Yeah, it was cool to see PCO in a suit for some reason.
Yeah,
that was kind of strange. I think maybe he forgot his gear, or you know, on a plane or something. You know, he's lost his luggage. So that was quite funny. But yeah, it was decent. You knew who was going to win because obviously Machine Guns are number one contenders. So you kind of knew who was going to win in that one. But yeah, overall, it was a good show. I wasn't blown away with it, but it was a good show. There wasn't anything that I watched and thought, this is bad. You know, even the main event, not my cup of tea, but you can't watch that and see that level of, you know, that level of effort and that level of, you know, performance and not think, you know, this think they've done well.
Yeah.
But it's just not my personal cup of tea, but each to their own.
Yeah, something for everyone with Impact, but yeah, not everyone's gonna like everything. Nixon, what was your take on this show?
I find it hard.
Yeah,
I find it hard to disagree with anything that Alec just said. Really, like you say every week, Craig, you expect a certain level from Impact, and it never drops below that level. And you know, that's exactly what we got with Victory Road. It was a really good show. I think it was. I don't think it was outstanding. There's nothing on there that was truly outstanding, but it was just great, solid wrestling throughout the whole night. Not a bad match. Quite a predictable show. There's only one match that I predicted incorrectly, and that was Killer Kelly and Tasha Steelz. But I suspect they'll do something with them at Bound for Glory, whether they're involved.
Doesn't look like that's finished. You know?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Whether they blow that off at some point on Impact, or they do something in the what's it called, the Gauntlet. Bound for Glory.
Call shot.
What's it called?
Call your shot.
Call your shot. Yeah. Maybe Killer Kelly will win that or something. I totally agree. I would far rather have seen Speedball versus PCO. I think that would have been a really interesting, match for them to put on and continue the Honor No More, quest for gold story arc.
Yeah, just quickly on that very quickly, because you could have played it off that Kenny King wants that match, but he failed, and PCO's trying to, I guess it's teasing him, leaving. It could have been they put PCO in that match, and if he loses, he's out of Honor No More, that kind of thing, maybe. But yeah, I agree. That would have been a really interesting match as well, something a bit different.
Yeah, and with only 2 weeks of TV before Bound for Glory, I'm really struggling to see what they have in store for PCO on the biggest show of the year, considering he's one of the most over wrestlers they have. He has to be doing something significant, right?
You'd think, but I guess we'll wait and see, because Bound for Glory, yeah, it's 2 weeks away, which is wild. But just before we move on to Bound for Glory, I want to get a guy's take on Bobby Fish showing up. Nixon, when we surprised, you bothered? Like, with Bobby Fish debut on Impact, trying to be controversial, but not doing it very well.
I was very surprised. Yeah, didn't expect that, but I'm happy for him to stop off in Impact on his inevitable way back to WWE. I suspect he'll be a player coach in NXT, something like that, when Triple H is ready to bring him back. But yeah, until then, if he fancies sticking around in Impact, having a few matches, I think that's fine. I know he's a controversial figure, but the internet wrestling community were fine with him being in AEW. And all of a sudden, when he leaves AEW, he's a member of QAnon. He's done this and that. I don't know. So yeah, I'm fine with him being in Impact for a little while.
Alec, Bobby Fish, Impact.
I don't know. I didn't expect it. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I'm not fussed either way. If he's around for a little bit, he'll have some good matches, I'm sure. I wasn't like buzzing about it. I wasn't, oh my god, this is amazing. But it is what it is. He looks older. I know what he's changed up, but he definitely looked older. I don't know. It's just a bunch of people in Impact that I'd like to see them doing something a bit more with, and then Bobby Fish comes in, and I'm not really that bothered. But I mean, whatever. If it's a short-term thing, then he'll have some good matches and leave. If it's longer term, then I guess some kind of, maybe when PCO leaves Honor No More, maybe Bobby Fish in that group would work. But I'm not fussed, to be honest.
Nah, I was cool with it. I'm a big Undisputed Era guy, so I was happy with it. But maybe he sticks around to Bound for Glory. Was at that set of tapings, and Albany is his hometown. But on Bound for Glory, it's 2 weeks away, which is 10 days away now, which is just, I mean, where's the time gone? But I want to get, I guess, everyone's take on the booking of Bound for Glory. Excuse me, I've closed my notes by accident. we have match of course Eddie Edwards for Josh Alexander. You've got Speedball Matt Bailey versus Kazarian. You've got Mia Yim taking on Mickey James in potentially the final last rodeo. Vex defending Knockouts tag titles against Jessica and Taya. Jordan Grace versus Marsha Slamovich for the Knockouts World Championship. And OGK versus Mertz Machine Guns for the World Tag Team Championship. I mean, yeah, it's for my liking with Bound for Glory. There's the lack of build for the title matches, especially, has been slightly concerning, especially in the last year and a bit. Title matches seem to be decided via normal contenders matches. There's no real feuds when it comes to the titles. Outside of the titles, yeah, there's a few, but that's been my issue, is that these matches are kind of coming in cold a little bit. There's no massive build to it. I mean, I'm looking forward to every match on the card should be a banger, because Impact have some of the best wrestlers in the world. Jordan versus Marsha, that's probably the one that's got the most feud behind it in terms of title matches. But Nixon, where do you stand on this Bound for Glory? You say it's 10 days away, 9 days away, and this airs. Yeah, what's your take on it? The matches? Has it been enough build for your liking? Are you massively hyped for what's to come?
That's just the thing, isn't it? That I just don't feel as hyped as I should be for what is generally the biggest show of the Impact Wrestling calendar. It's going to be a great show. There's 6 great matches right there. But yeah, I don't know. The hype isn't there for me. I don't know if I'm on my own on that, because I know they've sold a lot of tickets. It's going to be a good crowd there. Hopefully they sold lots of pay-per-views. I think the matches I'm most looking forward to are the 2 women's singles matches. I think they could steal the show. I think they did at Victory Road, to be fair. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me on this, Alec. Just the hype isn't quite there this year.
Yeah, I do agree. It kind of just feels like an Impact Plus special. It doesn't feel bigger than that particularly. Slammiversary did a great job of making it feel like more than that. I felt like, and Bound for Glory should be doing the same. It doesn't feel like that. You say you've got 6 matches announced already, and still so many people that you would expect to be on the card that are still not announced for anything. You would expect now that probably Bobby Fish is going to be on the card. Okay, so you've got 2. I'm assuming he's not going to be against Shearer. So you've got 2 weeks to build up a match for him. You've got the Good Brothers. Are they going to be on the card? If they are, if they're not, you've PCO, like you said, we don't know what's going to happen. I would assume some kind of extension of the current feud with Macklin, Callahan, Moose, because there's not really much time to spin it into new feuds. But then they've already done Barbed Wire Massacre and the Clockwork Orange and this, that, and the other. They've already done all this stuff. So where can it go now? And they've kind of already divided Macklin and Moose when we thought it was probably going to lead to a tag. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, we all thought. Well, I certainly thought that they were going to bring in Moxley for a tag match at Bound for Glory, but it's just looking less and less likely now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at the spoilers. I don't know if he was at the tapings. I don't know if he's been announced or they're going to do a Dream Partner tag match or whatever. But now he's the AEW World Champion again. I just can't see it happening, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, you know me, I'm not his biggest fan or Sammy Callahan's biggest fan, but I know how big of a deal that would have been for Impact to get him. So I think we were all kind of thinking, if they get Moxley, that's huge for the pay-per-view and then would make it feel somehow, a bit more special. I to just go on what you just said, Craig, about how there's not that many sort of feuds leading to title matches. It's more sort of, here's a number one contenders match, and whoever wins is then the challenger. I think the problem there is, it's like, okay, we've got a 6-man or whatever it was, and the winner will face, and that was kind of thrown together. The winner will face Josh at Bound for Glory.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was thrown together with like Bandito and Moose and all sorts of people in there. Eddie wins that, and then it's like, okay, now we have to figure out a reason why they hate each other. Not, we've got two people who have an obvious reason to dislike each other. Now let's give people the match. It sometimes works one way, and I get it. The whole contenders matches and things like that. The competitive, almost sports-like nature of winning matches earns you title shots, of course.
Yeah.
But it's wrestling, so to get people invested in matches, you need personal issue, and there seems like that's secondary in some of these things. There's a few I think the card also, to me, looks about as predictable as Victory Road at the minute. As well. I just think it's lacking something. It's lacking. We thought Moxley, but that one guest star, even bloody like Slammiversary had Chris Harris. It felt special to me. It felt special to TNA fans. It was something that wasn't. It just wasn't the norm. Therefore, you get excited. This feels just very normal. It feels business as usual, not biggest show of the year.
I want to get your guys' take on. Matches are going to be quality no matter what, but it's for me. I mentioned it on the live show on Monday morning, and that Eddie and Josh, this feels I'm leaning more toward, not more, but more than I have been for previous contenders for the championship, that this Josh could potentially lose here. I feel like the feud is going that way where there's a small percentage more than I have for Eric Young and for everyone else Josh has faced, where Eddie may win here. There is a possibility that Eddie can win. I don't know if you guys agree on that, but I feel like this is the most I think Josh's title has been threatened. Alec.
I think he can. It's more likely for him to lose it to Eddie Edwards than Eric Young or Ishii or Joe Doring, for example. But I still can't see it happening. Still think Josh will retain.
For me, I was about to swear then, so I'll bleep myself.
You can swear.
It's the internet.
Okay. I can swear. I can swear. You can bleep me if you wish. So you think that Eddie Edwards might win the title? Or you think it's a possibility? You think it's more, there is a possibility. My answer would be, who gives a fuck? Like, seriously, it doesn't feel like I don't care. I genuinely could not care less. I don't feel like I care if Josh loses, because I'm bored by him. And I know that if he loses the title, he'll continue to have good matches because he's good. But I just don't care. And Eddie Edwards, like, I didn't care when he was champion before, and he's not even the most interesting person in his group. I just, I don't care. I just don't care. And that's the problem. That's the main event of your biggest show of the year. And I could not care less who wins.
I get where you're coming from on that. Eddie and Josh, it's two Impact guys, but Eddie's been lacking something for a while. This heel turn with Honor No More has helped, but Eddie was just there, and now he's in the main event. Which is why Nixon and I both predict that Jordan and Marshall should main event, and probably will main event, because that has more of a story. It could go either way, this one, because of Marshall's undefeated run. But I don't know.
I don't think main event personally.
No,
I don't think so.
That's fair enough. It's the main events is kind of, even though Jordan Grace is the Knockouts Championship feels more important than the World Championship at the minute, because of people. I guess people have seen Josh has been, instead of in previous episodes, I feel like Josh has been missing for some time, missing in action. So I'm excited for Bound for Glory as an Impact fan, because this will be 10 years I've been watching Impact bang on. 10 years exactly. So I'm excited on that side of stuff. But it's Bound for Glory should feel like it's bigger than it actually is right now.
Yeah, 100%. I think there is an outside chance that the women can main event, but it's just Masha's still somewhat unproven as a wrestler and as a draw. So I think the Knockouts title should main event Bound for Glory this year, but I can't see that match the main event in Bound for Glory.
Yeah, it's so it would be a great match, and has the potential to be match of the night if all goes in their favor, which no reason why it shouldn't. Masha is.
I actually just think that I don't know. I didn't feel like Masha. I didn't feel like it was the right time to pull the trigger on the title match. I felt like it was kind of, okay, well, we've got a few weeks till Bound for Glory. This is the plan. Let's just go now. I felt like she could have been the sort of challenger coming out of Bound for Glory, maybe. And I think had it been done smarter, that we could have built longer for Jordan Grace, Mia Yim, which, in my opinion, could have main evented Bound for Glory. Personally, it would have, with more build, that could have felt like a main event. I feel like, Masha is unproven, as you said.
Yeah.
So I don't think it will main event. I think it will be good though. I don't doubt that. But I don't think it will main event.
Speaking of Masha, she's got a match on Impact tonight, a Monsters Ball against the debuting Allie Katch. Now, I said on Sunday, could not give two shits about Allie Katch. What she does for me isn't wrestling. But Alec, what's your take on Allie Katch?
I'll be entirely honest. I'll be as honest as the day is wide. Like, I couldn't pick her out of the lineup. Not a fucking clue. No idea. Absolutely no idea. And I like to think that I kind of keep an eye on most things. And I watch quite a lot of wrestling. I've seen the name written down and I've seen the name mentioned. I don't know. I've got no idea. I hope I'm guessing. My guess would be that as she's coming in straight into a monster's ball, that she's some kind of hardcore match type person, which instantly makes me not be interested. Because as I've said before, not my cup of tea. And as they Jordan kind of built it up in a kind of promo. It was like, yeah, Allie Katch, and I went, what? Cool. I was expecting someone I knew, but the way it was built up makes me, and the fact that it's Monster's Ball, I can't see it being a quick win for Masha, which would be better. You know, if they went, here's this big challenge, and Masha just annihilated her, that would be wicked. You know what I mean? Because then that would be like, we brought in a name and Masha just destroyed it anyway. That's great. But I can't see that it'll be a competitive, hit each other with shit match, I imagine. That I'll probably skip or just watch it like this.
Nixon.
I tend to do sometimes.
Nixon, Allie Katch, thoughts?
Yeah, Allie Katch is a deathmatch wrestler. She wrestles for GCW, but it's not the only string to her bow. She can, do regular matches. Obviously, it's going to be a hardcore match on tonight's episode of Impact. My big problem with this match is that Masha has run through the knockouts division fairly easily. And they're bringing in an outside name to give her a challenge when it should be the other way around, right?
Yeah.
She should be running through the outside names, and the people already established on the roster should be the people that give her a challenge.
See, my main problem is, say for example, Masha wins at Bound for Glory, right? Or a few months down the line, she wins and she's the Knockouts champion, right? Then what? She's already beaten everybody. Like, who steps up? Who's the person that you think is realistic? Because she's literally beaten everybody already before even getting there. I feel like a few of the people within the Knockouts division should have given her more of a match. She could still beat them and beat them clean with her finish, but give them a little bit more as she moves up the card, giving the death thing, the bit of envelope, right? Giving that to different people. Everybody was getting it and was petrified. There needed to be a few more that was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm up for the fight, and take it to her a little bit more as she gets closer to challenging for the title. Because if she wins it, where do you go then? You need more outsiders because you've beaten everybody in the company.
I think if Masha does win the championship, the way forward would be to rebuild Jordan Grace and have Jordan take it back from her.
Yeah, the story that I would tell, if we're going with Masha winning the title, I'd give her a couple of title defenses, and then I would just, if you really want to cement her as a top person in the company, I'd have her run through a few more people, with the title, and then be the one to end Mickie James. Because I think then during that time, you're also rebuilding Jordan, and then you go again with them too. But I think if you really want to get across her as a top star, I think if she beats Jordan Grace, she can then beat Mia Yim. She can beat, other people. She's beating everybody. But then you can go to Mickie James. That one, the last rodeo thing. wants to win it for the last time, and then she comes up short. And for someone to end her career would be a massive win. So I think whoever does that, it's got to be a big thing.
Yeah, that's the thing with this Knockouts World title match. It's going to be good, but it's difficult to call in the fact that Jordan beating the undefeated Marsha Slamovich doesn't do an awful lot because she's already established, already Knockouts World Champion, and already been on a hell of a run as champion a couple of times. Marsha winning, it's like I said, what next? It's a case of with a lot of champions. It's the same with Josh Alexander in the Impact World Title match, which has been the case for a long time. But back onto Allie Katch just quickly. Yeah, she's I believe former GCW Tag Team Champion, and she's gotten a lot of she's trended a few times. Once for slashing someone with a knife in a match. Yeah, it's I'm as I said already, I'm not that asked about Allie Katch coming in, but it will be a match where it'll be with Marsha. It could be over in 10-15 seconds, but it's probably will be dragged out a little bit longer than maybe necessary. But I have to wait and see, I suppose. But I'm not that interested in this one. I hope Marsha wins, which she probably will, because Pick Your Poison kind of got to win. And Allie Katch isn't going to be the one to knock Marsha off before the Knockouts World Title match.
No chance.
Yeah, I don't think Allie Katch is here for a long time. I think she's literally just being brought in for this opportunity.
Yeah, Pick Your Poison. It was it got a good reaction from the crowd at Victory Road, but yeah, it doesn't do a lot for me, this one. But speaking of Victory Road, just for the main event, the next Hall of Famer was announced for going Bound for Glory. Surprised me because even though it should have happened a while ago, almost completely forgot about it. But as if you don't know already know, Raven is going to the Hall of Fame at Bound for Glory, and rightfully earned. Nixon, I know you wanted to talk on this one especially. So yeah, Raven going to the Hall of Fame. It feels like it should have happened a lot sooner, but here we are. It's happening, and I think in New York as well.
Yeah, you just got to look at what Raven has done in TNA and Impact Wrestling. That first big championship match against Jeff Jarrett in the Asylum in 2003, where they they sold out and turned away like 800 people because people wanted to see that match, and people were pissed off when Raven didn't win. And then you look at the feuds he's had and the stuff he's done. Finally winning the NWA World Championship in 2005, but the feud against Sabu, the stuff with Dr. Stevie and Daphne, matches with Abyss and Brother Runt and Rhino. His tenure and the stuff he's done and what he means to TNA means he's more than worthy for a Hall of Fame induction. I think it's the right time to put him in, having just featured him for Clockwork Orange House of Fun. He's fresh in people's minds, and I'm looking forward to seeing, because he's a weird guy. He's very clever, but yeah, a strange dude. So I'm looking forward to seeing his acceptance speech.
Yeah, probably get if it's like last Hall of Fame speech, you probably get 5 minutes, but it should be enough time for Raven to do something interesting with it. But Alec, Raven Hall of Fame thoughts.
I hope for the Hall of Fame he looks a little bit more bothered than he did when he came to do commentary. Yeah, 100% deserves it. Yeah, I was a fan of Raven before TNA. I was a fan of Raven. I first saw Raven in WCW and was a fan then. And I bought in hook, line, and sinker to the rumor years and years ago that Raven, and this was just a rumor that a very young Booker man believed and bought into at the time, and it probably was just some random person at school or whatever that had made it up completely. But I was then convinced that Raven was going to be the one that ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin. I had been led to believe that was going to be that was going to be a thing, and that was going to be his master plan, his massive push. And I was convinced, and obviously it didn't happen. And he did very little in WWE at all. I think he's pretty much only really remembered in WWE for like the Backlash match with Rhino. Which was great. That's about my limit on like hardcore matches. That type of hardcore match, pots and pans, they were all good. Shopping trolley, all good. Which there was at the last DOA Yarmouth show. There was a shopping trolley. So yeah, I think he definitely deserves it. Him coming in, his debut in TNA. I remember as it happened. I was managing to download TNA at the time at massive length because it would take so long to download an episode with the rubbish broadband at the time. But being a WCW fan, I clung to the alternative. I wanted the next company, and TNA was that for me. And that was awesome when he showed up because I always felt like he didn't get his due in WWE. He should have beaten Jarrett for the title. And by the time he won the title, it was that little bit too late. But still, I'm glad he got it. He was a fixture for such a long time and fantastic. I've always liked Raven and a really big part of TNA Impact Wrestling. So I think it's very, very well deserved for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching Impact now for 10 years. And of course, missed Raven's heyday, but of course, I've seen all the stuff you need to see on Raven. He is one of those guys where everyone's seen his stuff. If you're a diehard wrestling fan, you've seen Raven, you know what it's about. And he was a big part of TNA in the early days, of course. I think my first seeing Raven, I think it was WrestleMania 17. I think that was the first time I saw Raven. That match was great for what it was. But yeah, of course, it's well deserved. And yeah, like I said, should have been maybe a little bit earlier, but he came in for House of Fun, so it makes perfect sense. I'm all for it. I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the one to induct him. Who can you? I thought maybe DDP, but would he do it? I don't know. Would he show up on Impact? Probably would for this, but who do you think is going to induct him? Because it's a difficult one. I can't really pick up. Maybe Tommy Dreamer, but
there's only one possible name to induct Raven. It's got to be Dreamer. He's already on the staff. It was Dreamer's most celebrated feud. Not just in ECW, but the Raven Dreamer feud. It went on for so long and was so it's what people remember fondly from Raven's ECW run. Short of Sandman, it has to be Dreamer.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. One thing you know that they'll show in the hype for for Raven's induction, you know they'll show the TNA debut where he kind of storms the ring, hits the DDT, disappears with the belt, which is a great moment. But if you watch it back, it is the most ridiculous thing in the world, right? Because there's like 30 people stood in the ring who all stand there going, oh, yeah. What's going on? We're like,
oh,
I shook around so much. I did more to my phone then than anyone did to Raven during that segment. Right? It's absolutely ridiculous. And if you get a chance to watch that bit back, right, just watch Jerry Lynn. It is absolutely perfect. It is just hilarious. Just the way he stands there going, no one does anything, and it's amazing. It is amazing. But yeah, it has to be Dreamer, and yeah, thoroughly deserved.
Yeah, I said Raven, big part of TNA. It's because, like I said, TNA was the alternative, and yeah, Raven being a part of that kind of what's I'm looking for. It's signified that they were the alternative when Raven popped up, because like the ECW fans knew who he was. Most of them were watching TNA then, but they weren't really there. Then it just happened. It got the ECW fans and yeah, it was a cool moment. I haven't seen any of it live, but Raven and Jarrett was one of the best feuds of the Asylum era. Like, it's definitely up there when people talk about the feuds. Raven, Jarrett, and it's gonna be a cool moment to see him at Bound for Glory, see what he does. But yeah, I'm all for it, and well deserved. And for the first time, we are early. So, Alec, obviously, DOA, obviously, of course, recently had a show.
Right. One sec. We're early, right? So we're doing well for time. Okay. So I'll share a Raven story from when I met Raven. Okay. So I met Raven at a show in Coventry, which was International Showdown. And I went there with a good friend of mine called Jockey, lovely chap. And we went and we met Raven. Now, this was during a time where Raven was wearing the skirt, right? And he was wearing like a black kind of shimmery material skirt. And we went to a pre-show kind of meet and greet type thing, and we'd met various people: Samoa Joe, AJ Styles. There's loads of really big indie names. The X Division title main evented that show, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, which was awesome. So we met Raven, and he was just as odd as you would think. He started, I can't remember what he was chatting about, but Jockey wanted his autograph, and not a 10-minute conversation that he got, that neither of us really understood what he was talking about. So he asked a question about my Norwich City shirt, which I only wore to the show because I knew that I would be able to spot myself in the crowd amongst all the black T-shirts, because I'd be wearing bright yellow. And then didn't realise that when I bought the DVD, you couldn't see me because I was directly behind the ring post throughout every hard cam I got. But yeah, so we decided. So Jockey had got into his mind that Raven was a dick. He'd got into his mind that he didn't like him and thought he was rude. He wasn't particularly rude. He was just being Raven, and just, it was a little bit abrupt, and probably had a long flight. So we won't hold it against him. But we did manage to get the entire crowd at that show, and particularly a large group of people around us, due to the skirt and the nature of it, chanting "Raven is a bin man." Show, and then seeing a guy at the show writing on the back of one of his signs, Raven is a bin man, and then turning it around, holding that up, and that getting on camera. So Hall of Famer Raven is a bin man.
That is excellent.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. So as I literally, it was of course a DOA show, obviously very recently.
Yeah.
Let people know when that will be available on Fight TV, right?
Yeah. So that will be airing on the 6th of October. So that's a Thursday night, and that will go up at 8 o'clock on the 6th of October. It was a really good show. It was our return to Ipswich, back at Venue 77 in Ipswich. So it was great to be back there, and the crowd were really good. They were really into it. I know Mr. Nixon obviously missed the second half of the show due to his injury, but there were some great matches on that show. Ali OK and Brad O'Brien opened the show, which was really good. AJ Boogie against Aaron O'Malley was really good. Up until the injury, Mr. Nixon's match was really good up until that point.
Yeah,
it was going really well.
Not only did I miss the second half of the show, I missed the second half of my match.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so sorry to anyone that watches the show, because we had some really good stuff planned, and you'll never see it, unfortunately.
But Ben's spear was great.
Yes, it didn't look good.
It did, yeah. So, second half, the Pandemonium Championship, which is always a bit weird and wonderful. That was a Saved by the Bell match. We had a pole with a bell at the top of the pole, and the wrestler who retrieved the bell and rang the bell was declared the winner. So it was a little bit Vince Russo, something on a pole match, but there was Danny Darko and Franklin. Crowd were massively behind Franklin. And that was really good fun. Vanessa, our women's champion, against Artemis, who was making her debut. That again, very, very good. The main event was one of the first times that we've had the tag team championships main event a DOA show, and they knocked it out of the park. The crowd were so into the match. The lads are always popular. Rex Wild and Sullivan King did a great job. Really, really stepped up and hit it out of the park as a main event. And I'm looking forward to people seeing that match. 6th of October, DOA Retro Rager on Fight. And we've talked about Bound for Glory, which is like the day after, right?
The 8th, 7th. No, it's day after. Yeah, 8th for here in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can watch DOA on Fight on the Thursday. You can watch Bound for Glory on the Saturday. Right. And on October 8th, you can get a ticket and come and see DOA's 9-year anniversary show. What a weekend. What a weekend. Who would have thought it? Impact Wrestling, third best show that weekend.
Oh, sorry, you weren't joking.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, you weren't joking.
I wasn't joking, mate, no.
I know you weren't. I'm sorry for laughing.
That's it, yeah.
Right. Go support British Wrestling, go support DOA, of course.
Yes.
So what, we'll let you go a little bit earlier than planned, but that was the final 10, by the way, in case you missed it. 10. There. There we go. That's been another TBN. I've been the MIC, it's been Nixon, it's been Alec Burnitt. Go follow us here, there, everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you podcast. Go check out everything we've done before. Hopefully more TBN chats coming. Reach out to a few new people. Anyone you want us to have on TBN chats, drop a comment, message us on social media, at them the next time I tweet out, and we'll do our utmost to get them as guests. Of course, check out the power rankings each and every week with Tatia and Bert. No power rankings on here anymore. Maybe we'll do the occasional for pay-per-views, but power rankings for TBM, no more for a little bit. But yeah, of course, go check out check out DOA on Fights and do the whole thing. Follow us here everywhere. Follow Alec and Nixon. Do the whole thing. Until next time, goodbye, my friends.